This is the Young Family Podcast. All right, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Family Podcast. It is your host, E. Young, joined as always by my co-host,
the TBC.
What's up, TBC?
What is up?
How is your week going?
It's been rough, good and bad, but we made it through the week.
Yeah, chugging along here. So we've got another doozy episode of the Young Family Podcast. The Young Family released a music video recently, didn't we, TBC?
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about that music video, what it was like to make it, what it's called, where you can find it, etc., etc. We're also going to be segueing that a little bit into what it's been like to coexist with one another since we are both home through the work week together. Isn't that right, TBC?
Yes.
We'll also be talking about, in the Outside World segment, what it is like in the tri-state area, that is New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, if you are a pregnant woman that is going to be giving birth in the Corona era. Specifically, what that has meant for having partners or support people with you in the delivery room. So a little bit more on that later on in the episode. We will have a very brief email segment where we talk about an embarrassing mistake that I made in the previous episode, last week's episode. We'll be talking about some new platforms that we are now on, TBC. We'll be talking about how we are going to be branching into the world of doing interviews and how that could involve you. And so stick around for all of that till the end of the episode. But first, TBC, we made a music video. Tell people what it's called and where they can find it right now.
So we made a parody song video. It is called Shut Down. It is a parody song from the Tom Petty song for Breakdown.
Shut down, it was a government mandate, baby. Shut down, what just happened to my life? Shut down, I hope we have enough snack food here. Shut down, it's alright.
We have put it on YouTube and our Facebook page. But the easiest way to find all of our links is through the usual bit.ly/youngfamilypodcast, all lowercase, and it will directly take you to the link right there.
We made the video to try and bring some joy to people across the country in these uncertain times, right?
Yeah. I mean, this whole virus pandemic has literally rocked our entire world as we know it, and it will forever be changed, I think. I mean, lots of craziness, and we are definitely thankful for all the essential workers who are out right now at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. All of the healthcare workers are amazing, and we salute you and we thank you. So, but basically we're home, and we were like, what can we do to maybe bring a smile to the face of everyone across the world that it may reach? And we said, you know what about a video with our adorable children, us two funny people.
Talk about your star power on screen. The way that you have that undefinable quality where you just kind of light up like a supernova, specifically during your guitar solos in the video.
You're crazy. I mean...
Don't be so modest.
No, I mean, when you are behind the camera and you're just like, okay, like listen to the song, play the guitar, but I'm actually playing a ukulele. I was like...
That's my favorite part about the video, by the way.
So I was like, sure, and I get into it because, I'm comfortable with you and, I'm just kind of goofing around.
It's worth it to watch the video, if for nothing else, than your neck swerves and your shimmies during the guitar solos.
I got into it.
So once again, go to our YouTube page. Just search for Young Family Podcast on YouTube. Check out the video. TBC, what do you think was the best and the most challenging part of filming a video with the kids?
Listen, our children are now 2 and 3, almost 4. Riley just had a birthday. And Riley loves music and she loves dancing. So she actually did better than I was expecting. She kind of got into it. I'm not going to lie. There was definitely some bribery of cookies to both of the children if they would kind of, do a little dance or sing a song or play some instruments. And, it didn't take too much coercing. They were pretty into it once they saw like the lights and the green screen and, everything else. So
I think Riley might have been better behaved for the camera than she is in everyday life.
Well, there's no question about that.
Maybe there's something, maybe we should kind of like follow that thread. Now, after the shoot had taken place, we did that over the weekend with the kids, right? Because we basically didn't have anywhere else fun to go. Couldn't go to an amusement park, couldn't go to a local park. Not much to do. We're like, should we go on like our third walk of the day? And instead we were like, no, I don't know. Let's try and shoot this video. And it wound up turning out okay. But after all of that, then comes the post-production. And we started doing that during the regular work week where you and I are now home together. How do you think that things have been going as two adults that are normally not home together all the time during the work week? How do you think it's going with us coexisting with one another?
Well, we are doing our best.
Right.
I am home from work. I am not working from home because my job is something that I really need to be in the office or kind of present on location. So I am home, not working currently. And you work from home. So, you are just busy still trying to focus on your job. But I don't understand that because normally when the two of us are home together, it's either the weekend or we're on vacation. So we're supposed to be hanging out. And so like I'm coming into your office like every like hour and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Pay attention to me.
Yeah, like I just want to talk to you and to hang out with you and I want to eat lunch together and I want to like talk about our day and like what we're doing for dinner and you're just like, I have to work. Like, go away.
Get out of here. I think probably the biggest or the thing that we've kind of been, that has been most challenging for us to coordinate has been lunch. We're just on like two different eating schedules and you really want to always eat lunch together. And I'm like, but we're not hungry at the same time. The other thing is, I feel like it's very evident that I'm annoying the heck out of you. And yet, your desire is to hang out with me more. I'm like, is more of me necessarily going to be the answer right now for you?
Just because I mean, you annoy me doesn't mean that I don't love you and I don't want to be around you. And I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm annoying you. I mean, we're not used to being with each other, 24/7. And we are currently on like a stay-at-home order for 2 weeks. So we're going to be with each other a lot more often. So, I mean, listen, I'm sure everybody who's listening is getting a little stir crazy. I mean, like I said a few minutes ago, our lives have been turned upside down. And we're just trying to, make the best out of a stinky situation.
You're absolutely right. That hunkering down is happening to everyone nationwide in one way or another. So we definitely want to know what your experience is right now, whether it's being with your spouse or partner, significant other, 24/7 when you normally might not be. Are you homeschooling your kids? Definitely let us know how all of that has been going for you. Hit us up. You can always email us at youngfamilypodcast@gmail.com. If you don't mind kind of rapping about it in a more public forum, get at us on Twitter. You can either search for the Young Family Podcast or hit us up at Podcast Young, because parenting Twitter right now is lit, as the young folks say, with people just going nuts with either their spouses or their children and being home with them all the time. So anyway, so we can all kind of join in that party and commiserate together. With that TBC, shall we get into the outside world?
Yes.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Outside World. Today's article comes from the New York Times, and it is entitled, "Some Pregnant Women in New York City Will Have to Deliver Babies Alone." We'll read just the first paragraph here. They say, women giving birth in at least 2 leading New York City hospital networks are being told they must labor without spouses, partners, or doulas by their side, leaving the expectant mothers anxious and frightened about their upcoming deliveries. So a couple of things to highlight real quick. We need to emphasize that this is not nationwide news. This is coming out of New York City, and specifically just those 2 networks of hospitals within New York City, which, of course, they deliver a lot of babies because there's a lot of pregnant women in New York City every year. But this is not something that is going on around the country as of right now. They're talking about these 2 networks of hospitals that have kind of gone above and beyond their state's Department of Health guidelines, which currently are saying it is okay to have one person with you in the delivery room, but they're taking it a step further and saying, sorry, ladies, no support people in the delivery room with you. So, Carolyn, you've made 2 babies. What would you be thinking and feeling if this policy were impacting you and you were pregnant and right about to deliver in the Corona era?
Oh my gosh, I would be devastated. I mean, I would just be so sad. I would be so anxious about what to expect, giving birth by myself. And, my heart goes out to all the moms right now who are about to deliver, and especially the moms in New York in that tri-state area that are being told that they can't have anybody with them. I can't imagine laboring by myself. I had to have a C-section after laboring for a little bit with Jackson. So I can't imagine going through labor and then a C-section by myself, and then you missing the birth of our child, and
right.
Who's gonna take the pictures, who's gonna hold my hand, who holds the baby first if I can't, who would that be, who would get that moment? And to be there all alone, it just breaks my heart that there are women going through this. And although I get trying to be proactive for the health and safety of everybody else, I wish that there was more precautions for, the partner and then the woman giving birth, to allow them at least one person. If you're not going to allow them to have visitors, fine, I get it. I mean, I agree with the no visitor policy now.
It's rough, but understandable.
But it's try to go above and beyond to give these women that support, because that's what we need.
Now, I know that there is a bottleneck in terms of testing, right? Not everybody that maybe wants a test can be tested when, say, you are asymptomatic of COVID-19. Meaning you're displaying no symptoms, but maybe you're a carrier, right? So a test would tell you if you are a silent carrier. So maybe not everybody that we want to, has access to those tests. But you had mentioned this just a second ago and previously that perhaps there could be just a greater effort to have some kind of a beefed up screening process for support people of pregnant women. Whether it's just documenting in detail where you've been and who you've been in contact with, and trying to test for symptoms right now, and just doing everything we possibly can short of actual testing to screen the people that want to be in the delivery room with the women, right? Can we at least go that extra mile?
Yeah, wearing the mask or wearing the gowns, trying to keep yourself fully protected, and then basically not leaving the hospital room until you're ready to be discharged, and at that point basically allowing the family to get out as soon as they are fully cleared to do so, which
was something that you had personally heard about from someone that delivered here in the state of Florida recently, right? That was kind of their experiences. Just the support person or the spouse was allowed into the delivery room, but both the mother and the support person needed to wear masks throughout the entire thing, right?
Basically, from the story and pictures from Facebook, they were required to wear a mask basically from the time that they entered the hospital until the time that they are discharged. So even the wife who is laboring and having a baby, I believe that she had to wear a mask. And even that is so weird to think about, but I mean, at least they were able to kind of stay together so he didn't miss like the birth of, his child.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, definitely a sacrifice. It's, something different because of the Corona era, but at least that spouse was allowed to be there. So I'm going to give one more sort of like angle from each side of the argument. Now, the first is that, maybe this policy is not so crazy because statistically speaking, New York City and the tri-state area in general, if you look at it that way, is the epicenter of the coronavirus here in the United States. Most amount of cases, most amount of deaths. So maybe that's the reason why these hospitals are just saying, listen, we understand this is a brutal policy to try to carry out, but like, we got to make moves right now. Like, we cannot take any risk at all. So like, sorry, but that's the breaks. I hate it. I really do. But perhaps that's just the scientific angle that they're taking on it. The argument on the other side, though, and I think that this could also be sort of, based on science, if there is any data to support it, is that are you possibly introducing the risk of more medical complications if there is not a support person there for the woman that's delivering? Because, maybe that's just going to increase the anxiety of the woman giving birth, more that's going to create more issues while she's trying to give birth. Do you think that could be a thing?
Yeah, I think that I could go both ways. Because like if you were not in the room with me, yes, I would be more anxious. And, even lately with all this coronavirus, I have been having more like panic attacks where I have not had panic attacks in about 10 years. And I have had more frequently. So this is kind of rattling me a little bit because this whole situation has wrecked my world. So on top of being pregnant, if I had to do it alone, I probably would be more of a basket case and probably harder to calm down with not knowing really anybody in the room. And although I believe that the nurses would be doing everything that they could to make, me or another person feel comfortable, there's just something about somebody you like love and trust to be able to be there to help you kind of get through a high stressed situation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm just wondering if like it's going to lead to more legitimate medical complications during the birthing process. Like if women are experiencing a higher degree of anxiety because they are alone or without their spouse or support person, is that going to result in abnormal breathing patterns that, force more emergency C-sections and so on and so forth. And then that kind of becomes this depletion on medical resources and staffing. So it's like, could you make the argument that this is actually going to be counterproductive towards, just the well-being and the functionality of hospitals in general? So I don't know. We'd love to hear listeners' thoughts. As always, hit us up, youngfamilypodcast@gmail.com. And with that, TBC, let us get into emails. Email. All right, everybody, and welcome to the email section of today's episode. We had two very, very brief correspondences from listeners. My favorite was one that included a picture of Lindsey Graham. Underneath it, the caption that says, "Lindsey Graham, he's a man, comma, baby." This, of course, is referencing last week's episode where we were talking about the stimulus package that at the time of the recording was just being debated in Congress. And we brought up one of the dissenting viewpoints from a senator, one Lindsey Graham. And that individual I referred to as a woman. throughout the entire segment, where, of course, as this listener and another one pointed out, Lindsey Graham is a man baby. So
He's a man baby?
like a man, comma, baby.
I get it. I'm just being annoying.
That's from Austin Powers. That was embarrassing. This is not a political show, is it, TBC?
We try to keep this show as neutral as possible.
For sure.
We just try to bring a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of, I guess, some joy and debate, but on neutral topics. But, it's hard right now with coronavirus everywhere not to talk about some of like the highlighted topics. So we talked about it and we showed why we don't talk about politics.
We messed up.
We know nothing.
So our hand has been forced. We had to talk about the stimulus package last week because it pertains to families so much. $500 per child. I still don't have the information on if that winds up being just like however many children you have, or if there's a cap on that. But we're about to find out soon, because as of the time of this recording, it has been passed and we're kind of just waiting for things to be handed out. But I did reply back to that particular listener and say, that's it for me. We're out of the talking about politics business. We're going to leave that to the pros. And then also, this is how out of touch I am with politics. When I read the name Lindsey Graham, I thought of the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, who is in fact a woman. She was most recently an ambassador to the United States. But when I saw the name Lindsey Graham, for whatever reason, the image of Nikki Haley appeared in my head. And that's the true reason why I referred to Lindsey Graham as a woman the whole time. Other than the fact that his first name is just a girl's name. So
it's not a girl's name.
Yeah, that's gender neutral in your opinion?
What about Riley?
Gender neutral.
Okay, but then that means somebody could easily reference her as a boy, which they often do.
Some people might. That's the risk that we have taken by giving her a gender neutral name.
Especially with the spelling that we chose, but yeah.
Yeah. Lindsay, I just feel like is way more frequently a girl's name, no? Am I alone in that?
I know a few boys that are named Lindsay.
I should still know I should know the senators. That's what it comes down to. That's on me, everybody. I also appreciate that, people are fact checking me. So continue to do that, because sometimes I will just spout on about stuff, and it's nice to be kept in check every once in a while. TBC, let's do a little bit of a roll call on things where people can find us, new platforms where we are. We actually mentioned earlier on in the episode now that you can find us on Twitter at Podcast Young, or just search for Young Family Podcast. Same thing with YouTube. Look for Young Family Podcast. Subscribe. We are hoping to be putting up some more content, as much as we possibly can, for you guys to enjoy during this, shutdown, lockdown, shelter in place, whatever the heck is going to be going on for the next however long it goes on for. We hope that the Young Family Podcast can be a source of levity for you guys, your families, and your friends during these times. TBC, we also briefly wanted to talk about the potential of opening up the show to guest appearances. Now, we feel like we finally found a good system that we can try, but we want to see what the level of participation and enthusiasm might be. So what we want to start doing, especially now in the Corona era, is Skype interviews. So, if you are Skype capable, and if you would like to be a guest on the Young Family Podcast, hit us up, shoot us an email at youngfamilypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you would like to talk about, who you are, and of course the Skype information, and then we'll set something up. So hit us up. TBC, what do you think about having some guests on this show?
Let's try it.
Let's give it a go. Let's just go for it.
Spice things up.
Yeah. With that, TBC, let's wrap up today's episode and tell everybody where they can find all of the glorious platforms that we just referenced.
You can find us at bit.ly/youngfamilypodcast. Again, we want to thank everybody who is at the front line of this pandemic. Thank you for your support and your hard work during this time. Everyone be safe, wash your hands, Don't touch your face.
All that. On behalf of the TBC and yours truly, we are saying deuces until next time, and
Bye.
This is the Young Family Podcast. This is the Young Family Podcast.